who has become one of the most sought-after bridal and event makeup artists on the East Coast. She owns a national experiential marketing agency called The A-List, as well as an East Coast bridal beauty agency called Ariel Lewis, LLC. Ariel loves inspiring women to follow their dreams. She enjoys empowering other beauty entrepreneurs through mentorship and her one-on-one business consulting. Thank you so much, and please join me in welcoming Ariel Lewis.
Hi, guys. All right, so our cameras aren't on. That's okay. I'm not going to make everybody turn their cameras on, but I'm just going to talk to you guys blindly in the dark. And if you guys have questions, please feel free to call me and feel like I can engage and pivot and shift my conversation when you guys engage with me, and let me know what questions you have and just any comments that you might have about some of the information that I share. But if I don't hear from you throughout the process, that's fine. I'm just going to go based off of my notes and the information I have in my brain, and we'll go ahead and get started now. So the 3 topics that we are going to share with you today are, first, my opinions on how to break into the freelance beauty industry when you currently are either in school or have a full-time job or have something else that is collectively gathering your time. The second topic is going to be a topic that most of us in these industries, whether we be hair or makeup, eventually have some curiosity in, how to tap into, which is how to work with high profile or celebrity clientele. And the third thing that we're going to end on today is just my personal humble opinions on how you know when it might be a good time to seek out a mentor, what a mentor-mentee relationship even is, if that's the right fit for you, and if you are interested in it, what some good ways to go about strategically making that happen for yourself are. So to start off with our first topic, I kind of broke it down into 3 bullet points because I could deep dive into this conversation for forever, but I'm assuming that most of you that are here have at least already started some sort of venture on your own, doing makeup or hair services, either for a company that is freelancing or hiring you to freelance for them, or out on your own. So my number one advice is to not quit your full-time job, right? Everybody thinks like whether it's makeup and hair or any other passion that you might have, they think, oh gosh, I'm so excited about this. I should just stop my full-time job because it's taking me away from my passion. And I heavily advise against that because you still need, right, an income and a way to support yourself. And I'm just not one to jump in with both feet. So I suggest keeping your full-time job for a while. Start off by telling your closest friends and family. So that inner circle of people that love and support you no matter what. You think about, this is kind of a silly comparison, but we've all heard of things like, Mary Kay or, Mascara Beauty. There's so many MLM companies out there. And some of the training that they give these women in the beginning is pretty spot on with any entrepreneurship endeavor that you're going to have, which is start off with your closest inner circle. The difference is with a company that is potentially like a multi-level marketing or some sort of a buy-in type system, you are offering a specific product to these people in your inner circle, and they will eventually get annoyed, right, with you continuously asking them for their support in purchasing this product. But when you are truly passionate about something that you do, which in this case, let's say that we're all here because we're makeup and hairstylists, they're so inclined to want to spread the word just to give you an opportunity because they know somebody now in their network that's willing to provide those services. So in the beginning, that's where it starts off. And not to mention the fact that you need as much practice as you can possibly get, right? So again, many of you here have already been in the industry for a while, so I don't want to deep dive into it too much. I do know that one girl who's going to be joining us later, Caitlin, is from England. She's 14 years old. She's super young and she's just getting started. I would encourage you, Caitlin, to continue to do makeup for all of your friends and family as much as you can possibly get your hands on. Anybody that will let you. It's just really important to do that, because the more people that have personally experienced your work, the more people that are going to go out and speak highly, hopefully, about it. So the second thing I'll say is something that maybe you hadn't thought of is to offer your services at silent auctions and raffles. So there's countless opportunities out there for nonprofit organizations, for high schools, for colleges, for sororities, for corporations that are looking for people within the community to offer their services. And one of the biggest breaks I got very early on in my career was I would seek out different corporations and organizations that were looking for donations. When higher profile events was what I was specifically targeting. And then I would create these beautiful PDFs or basically flyers, right, that explain like, makeup artist is going to offer a one-on-one session. She's going to offer maybe a free hair makeup trial, whatever it was. It took it a step further than just getting my eyes on maybe putting a flyer up at Starbucks. It gave me an opportunity to select the clientele that I was going to showcase myself in front of, and potentially tap into some higher profile clientele. So I did a lot of circuits in DC, a lot of circuits in country clubs and stuff like that in Baltimore, where I would offer my services for free because it's really selective. You guys know, being in this industry, everyone wants our work for free in the beginning. Everyone is like, oh my gosh, you're really good at what you do. Can you do this for me for free? Or can I trade you? And you can only do that for so long before you're just like, I'm literally getting no ROI out of this. And no, the answer is I cannot. But auctions and raffles are a great place to provide your services generally for a really good cause and bring you back an ROI that's worth it. And the last thing I was going to say was just, the equivalent to back in the day posting flyers. Now we are so, just lucky to have all of these different platforms, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Facebook. There's so many online communities where if you really actually do your due diligence to figure out who your ideal clientele is and then post your services to those communities, you can see a really, really big return on just, the short amount of time you're copy and pasting the same message and you're putting yourself out there on those platforms. And I encourage you to not just focus on one platform. So if you are only focusing on something like Instagram, a lot of the times you can just miss out on a lot of other parts of the market. And a platform like Instagram, frankly, is oversaturated with our services. But if you take a little bit of time to think outside the box and maybe go to working moms, make a flyer that specifically talks to teenage girls needing makeup lessons or who are in need of makeup and hair services for prom, just niche down on who you're trying to target and then find those platforms and those communities within the internet to be able to kind of create your own set of ads for. So the next topic I was going to get into is how do I know when I'm ready to transition my side hustle into my full-time hustle? So for that, again, don't quit your day job right away. You have to say no to more opportunities when you start to feel like it just doesn't feel right anymore and you feel like your job is taking away from the opportunities that you could have said yes to. So if your job only gives you a certain amount of days off or a certain amount of excused absences, let's say, for me, I used to be a speech therapist. And I knew that I only had, 6 days in the semester that I could request off. And there was enough times over the course of that year with enough spreading the word organically and verbally about the business that I was trying to build on the side. The photographers were reaching out, photo shoots were reaching out, clients were reaching out. And I started to accumulate enough of like a sour feeling in my gut where I was, gosh, I could have been there right now, but instead I'm here. And that started to kind of become a pattern. And it's when I started to know, I started to do the math essentially and think to myself, I could have made $3,000 on that shoot, or I could have made $500 that day. I could have made, even if it was $250 that day, I'd rather be doing that right now than doing whatever it is that I'm doing here. So that was a good indicator to me that it was time to start transitioning. And that did not mean quitting right away, but it did mean starting to think of ways that I could strategically start to shift out. My third piece of, advice that's calculative would be when you've made back your investment, right? So we all have to invest in a kit. As makeup artists, you invest thousands of dollars. As hairstylists, as anybody that's going out and starting to freelance, you're paying for a website, a logo, product that you need in order to create these services. When you've made back that investment plus about 30% in profit margin, that's when you know, wow, I've really got something lucrative here that people are seeking out and that I can feel some level of confidence, not full guarantee, but some level of confidence that I'm not just crazy and wanting to do something that nobody wants to pay me for. And also you all know, again, most of you here have had some experience in this field already. So you know when it stops being just the friends of the friends of the friends and that inner circle. And it's no longer your cousin that's hiring you or your cousin's best friend that's hiring you. It's some random girl named, Marcy that you've never heard of that found you on the internet. That's when you're like, wow, Marcy's my first real paid client. I have no idea who she is and no connection inside her, but she wants me because she read reviews or whatever it is. So when that starts to happen, I think you start to know that you're ready to transition the side hustle into a full-time gig. So next we're going to talk about how to start working with celebrity clientele. And this is a topic that is to live in LA, to live in New York, to be in some super high market city, and to know somebody that is direct with a celebrity client. And the truth is, celebrity clients are some of the laziest clients that you could possibly come across, which is actually really shocking. I just got a notice on here that says that my internet connection is unstable. Ariana, can you see me okay?
Yeah, your voice froze a little bit, so we'll keep an eye on it.
Okay. All
I
right.
might interrupt you just in case at some point, so just a heads up.
Okay. So one of the first celebrities I ever worked with was Jessica Alba. And at the time, I was obsessed with her. I mean, I thought she was one of the most beautiful girls like on the planet. And the way that it came about was actually because working at Nordstrom for Bobbi Brown Cosmetics, I was part of this group that apparently celebrity clientele, when they come in town, they go to some source, right? So they've got their person that their PR person works with. And typically, at least back, 10, 15 years ago, and I'll go into how it shifted today, but 10, 15 years ago, before social media and publicists being able to go on and just say, oh my gosh, look at this person. They've got 150,000, followers, and this is who they are. And still to this day, even though that exists, the overwhelming just method of celebrity clientele coming to you is they ask their publicist to find them somebody, and the publicist often asks somebody who knows like the general layout of the land and says, okay, who are the top people at Blue Mercury, at Sephora, at MAC, at Nordstrom? Who's available within those realms? Mainly because they've got some sense of credibility to the extent that they're going to show up. They're backed by this, larger brand or company, that they are just known as the go-to within this circle of a network. And so it brings me back to like who is really important, but it's not always like your best friend is a celebrity artist and that's how they're going to get you in. So working for companies that have those connections, when Natalie Portman came in town, and one of the biggest makeup artists in DC who I had offered to assist for, I mean, I had my 6-figure business at this point, and I didn't care. I knew that this guy had a higher level of status than I did because he was the makeup artist for a very, very large, high profile politician's wife at the time in DC. I put my ego aside and I said, I'm going to continue to offer to assist this person. I'm going to continue to offer to, I don't care if I have to wash his brushes for him, whatever it is, I'm going to continue to develop this relationship with him. And sure enough, when she came into town, Natalie Portman again for DC, she came into DC for Jackie, the role that she played of Jackie. He put me into the pitch deck of one of the artists that he was suggesting would be, a good fit for her. So maintaining those relationships, understanding that it's not always coming from who you know, but also being connected to a larger entity that's got a large reputation outside of your own tends to be the way that it's happened. So this is an area that I feel like I could talk about for a while. And if you have questions, I would encourage you right now, just the women that are on, to unmute yourselves and ask, because I don't want to miss something that you might be thinking in your head, like specific questions about it that I'd be happy to answer. But if nobody's going to say anything or unmute themselves, I'll jump into the next thing I think you could do that could really potentially help you is submit yourself for application to work for an agency. So agencies like the Milk Agency in New York, agencies like the Artist Agency in DC, they already have existing contracts with high level profile, clients like this. And the number one thing that sets an artist apart for them when they're sitting there and determining who they're going to go with and who they're going to feed that high level pitch to is their portfolios. So having access, going out of your way to ensure that you have high level access to the photographers that are going to give you high resolution images of your work. But more specifically, and to deep dive further than that, it would be to specifically make sure that if you're not currently booking work that looks like it would be on the front cover of Vogue, to go out of your way to freelance for free in exchange for the images work that looks like it could be on the front cover of Vogue. Because again, all of us in this industry have been pitched multiple times. Do this for me, do this for me, do this for me, and trade for stuff that has really, frankly, low ROI to us. So if we're more strategic about what we want out of it, we can start to control what that looks like. So if we're looking for an opportunity to be on the front cover of Washingtonian magazine in Bridal, then we should be orchestrating the type of team that is going to come together, and it's going to give us the right photographer, the right event planner, and the right people that are going to help us to submit work that is worthy of that level. Same thing goes for working on the front cover of Vogue. I'm not going to sit there and do free work for somebody who doesn't have the caliber of photography that could potentially be a good portfolio piece for me to be able to be submitted to, a national magazine or something like that. You just added your video. Did you have a question for me, or did you mean to do that?
I was peer pressuring people. I put in the chat for people to turn on their videos if they were comfortable.
Yeah. If you have a question for me about this,
guys. So please
I'm here.
don't be shy. And we all have kids, so we love seeing the little ones.
I'll take my eyelashes off right now if that's going to make everybody feel better. I don't care.
I'll try to get my eyebrows to match next time. How about that?
The only reason I put makeup on is because I felt like as the host, you guys were going to judge me really hard if I came on here with nothing. So anyways, any questions about the celebrity market? Yep. Elisa?
So when you said you put, to assist a makeup artist, who was working with the celebrity clients, like how did you come across them? And then how did you, I guess, put yourself out there to be like, hey, I want to assist you and things like that? Because that's what I've been trying, but I'm very timid. I'm very shy. So I want to be like, I don't know what to say and things like that.
And you just answered your question and gave me your stopping point at the same time, because I tell you, I promise you, it is that simple. It's like you can find them. You know how to find them. You've already found them. You see them on Instagram, right? You see them on Facebook. There's people who just clearly, and further than Instagram and Facebook, I would encourage you to find people in magazines. Because that's where you've really got your proof that they've done what they've said that they've done. Do you know what I mean? Like it takes it to a level of, if it's in print, it's for real. And every human being, whether we've done it or we haven't done it, whatever we have accomplished, we're proud of what we've accomplished. Lisa, you're proud of what you've accomplished. If somebody came out of their way to be like, hey, I know this is really awkward and you don't know me, but could you just like walk me through how you do what you do and like how you've gotten to whatever it is that you're doing currently right now? Would you not kind of be humbled by that and be like, oh, well, sure. Yeah, I'll tell you, like, here's my advice, right? We all like to be asked. And that's what I've found. I've found very few people that are prima donnas. I mean, look, I'm not saying go reach out to Mario, right? Like Kim Kardashian's #1 makeup artist and be like, hey, that guy charges $1,000 for his mastermind classes or his master classes. Not somebody like that, but locally, there's plenty of people and who are just really brilliant and smart and great at what they do that would be really humbled and happy to help. So, when I reached out to my guy, it was Carl Ray. Okay. So Carl Ray, Michelle Obama's makeup artist. I saw him, I heard of him through Washingtonian magazine and I was like, oh, like Carl looks like a big deal. And I would love to meet Carl. And, I had no natural opportunity to meet Carl except for the fact that Carl gave out his services for free. Now I remember he gave out his services for free at a silent auction. So I was in Washington at an event and he had his stuff up. It was like, pay $250 or something because it was at a lower price point for what he normally serves because it was an auction. And I bid on his auction item like a crazy person and I won. And I only wound up paying like maybe I don't know what it was. I don't want to, it's probably being recorded, so I'm not going to share what I paid, but it wasn't an obscene amount of money. And I wound up getting to get my makeup done by him. And so I snuck my way in. It's like, you just got to think outside the box sometimes. You know, if a DM doesn't work, you find out an event that they're hosting or an event that they're going to be speaking at or something like that. You just find your way to not be timid in the moment when it really matters and pitch yourself, because the chances are most people are too afraid to do it, just like you and I were initially. And the ones that aren't too afraid are the ones that get the gigs. So it's worth the risks. You don't know these people. What if he had said no? What if I had been in his chair and he had done my makeup and be like, oh, you're a makeup artist? Yeah, I don't want to work with you anymore. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Now I'm going to clam up. Then whatever. At least I tried. I don't know him. And he doesn't know me. And he knows so many other people. So like, it's fine. That's my advice with that. I don't know if that helps. And I just outed myself for what a creeper I am. All right. So anybody else have any questions about that? If not, I'm going to jump into this last part of it because I'm so type A. I actually have a timer going here, and I'm happy to go over the timer, but I'm trying really hard to stay within it. Amy, did you have a question for me?
Oh, Amy, you're on mute.
There, okay. I used to live in Baltimore and DC, and I worked for Ashley Riddle, Updo's Fridays, but I'm out in Colorado now.
Okay.
So when you talk about different agencies, what's the best way to find an agency or look for an agency out here? I know back home in Baltimore and DC, it's a lot easier on the East Coast. Out here in the middle of nowhere, I don't know exactly how to go about doing that.
So, I mean, right, Google is amazing. You're able to, and being out on the West Coast, because technically you're actually way closer to way more agencies than we are out here on the East Coast. So if you're willing to travel, it's as easy as Googling, top 10 agencies for makeup and hair on the East Coast, looking at the distance from wherever you are in Colorado to where that agency is, and then clicking on, the further step, which is just what is needed for submission of application. And a lot of the times that's the step that artists cut themselves off at, because they read the print and the print looks really intimidating. It's like, we only want the upper echelon of artistry. And so we start to get in our heads because our confidence starts to get in the way. And we start to think, well, I'm not there yet. But then you see the chicks that are there, and every once in a while you come across somebody that you're like, I used to work with her at Updo's Fridays, and I could personally say, she's no better than I am. So why is she confident enough to go work for the artist agency, but I'm not? And it's just like, she applied. And truthfully, the way to get out of your headspace about it, Amy, is it's a business, right? The artist agency, the milk agency, the biggest agency in LA, they are businesses, girl. At the end of the day, they do really need a talented, but a body to fill that space. And so just like myself, right, owning Ariel Lewis LLC, my bridal company, Ashley, Updo's for I Do's, we're not just going to hire anybody. I mean, you can't go around clowning people's faces. But if you're good, right, at what you do, which clearly you are, because Ashley's a personal friend of mine. She has a very, very high expectation level. You're good enough to work for myself and Ashley. Chances are you're good enough to work for any agency. That's the truth of it. And we just got to get out of our heads about thinking that it's only these certain people. And I often remind myself of that by going to those agencies and looking up their artists and looking up their portfolios. And I encourage other people to do that, because when you compare their work to your own, that might sound a little icy and mean of me, but the truth is you look at it and you'll find somebody's work on there that you're like, I would have done things differently, and here's how, so it's a confidence thing, I think, more than anything. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our last question on here is going to be, how do you know if you could benefit from a coach, a mentor, or possibly a consultant, and what the heck is that? So I asked people that I coach, mentor, and consult with, and Danny, actually, Danelsi Guzman, who's one of the artists on here, I have coached and mentored personally. So hopefully you'll jump in and say that this is true, Danny, at the end. But I think that here's the reasons why people seek out coaches or mentors or just somebody, right, to help guide them over the entrepreneurial process. The 7 reasons that I most frequently hear from people are these. It's purpose, clarity, confidence, getting unstuck, some sort of level of unhappiness with where they currently are, some level of needing a deeper level of self-awareness, and transitioning themselves to the next level. So outside perspective helps you get on your way. If you feel like you're stuck, letting other people give you some insight on perspective is really helpful. If you feel like you're always the smartest person in the room and you're comfortable with that, you're going to be limited, right? I mean, as human beings, we thrive off of a sense of community, off of gaining insight from others, and just feeling like we're not in a box by ourselves. So I can tell you that through my personal experience, working with somebody who I trusted, and the key to that being somebody who's done something that I want to achieve, because I don't think it makes sense to go to a hardware store to buy bread, right? Like, I don't think it makes sense to go to a coach online that's trying to sell me some $10,000, $25,000 package that says that business is business is business, and just like everybody knows how to, or that they're experts in just business in general and are going to get me to where I want to go. The same way that when I was looking to transition from speech therapy to makeup artistry, oh, there's my timer. Oh, well, I'm going to keep going because this is a good point. And then we'll wrap up here in a couple of minutes.
You're fine.
The idea of, and this is no shade, frankly, this is absolutely no shade, because so many girls on my team who have started at this point, I fully understand where they came from. It just wasn't my mindset. And you have to remember, I had just finished college and I just paid a stupid amount of money for graduate school. And I was pissed off that I invested that kind of money in a career that I now knew I no longer wanted to go down, and I was paying for up until just a couple of years ago. So the thought of paying an additional 10, 15 grand for beauty school was like, heck no, I'm not doing that. But the idea, and because I thought about it a little bit deeper, and I thought to myself, well, who are these women that are going to be teaching me in beauty school? Like, are they celebrity makeup artists? Are they like some big wig from, some big company that they've started? Like, who are they? And when I researched, because I did dabble with the idea of it for a minute, I was like, oh gosh. And again, I'm not a hairstylist. I don't need a license in the state of Maryland at this point. I'd had my license through Bobby. I was just looking to elevate my artistry level. I thought to myself, I don't think I'm going to get it from the people that are teaching at the academy, in Annapolis. So I paid my money to artists individually that I knew were going to give me that one-on-one time, that had achieved a certain level of status that I was looking to get to. And so I put my training into Gucci Westman, who at the time had this incredible course in New York, the Temp2 Pro higher level team in LA to teach me and certify me in airbrush. Just Sarah Park, one of the most well-known Korean makeup artists in the Los Angeles and New York and Chicago area at the time. I wanted to learn from people that had achieved a certain level that I wanted to achieve. And the same kind of advice goes for the business end of it, which I just think that you've got to vibe with the person. You have to feel like they are genuinely vested in you for some level other than how it's going to benefit them. And then their actions have to be apparent after their words come out, right? So if somebody tells you I support you, I support you, I support you, and then you try to have a deep dive conversation with them and they're not available, that's a pretty telltale sign that they're BSing, right? I think that you've got to trust your gut to a certain extent and determine whether or not you feel like they're the right fit, because not everybody's the right fit for everybody. And frankly, I was very turned off by the whole world of coaching, just through a personal experience I had early on in my career. But funny enough, here I am after 10 years almost of having my business. I find myself with this unnerving itch to want to help women. And so the women that are on this call today, if you are interested and would be something that you'd like to get a little bit more information on, Ariana will send you a link. I do offer one-on-one consulting sessions at a discounted rate for the women that are in this group. It's not contractual. It's not some crazy investment. It's literally hourly. It's a special rate, again, just for the women that are here. And I love to throw spaghetti on a wall and just give you some one-on-one advice on your ideas. And if that's something you're interested in, let me know. But I think that's all I had to share today, Ariana. Is there anything else that I missed? Okay.
I shared some links in the chat box of Ariel's different websites and services and cool businesses. So, and as she said, please feel free to reach out to her She is going to, I hope, continue to be a resource to us at the Bridal Beauty Association. And please encourage other people that you know to attend these free educational quick webinars. I think it is the most beneficial thing for us to do to continue to expand our networks even in this way. So yeah, please reach out to us if you need anything else.